take that same definition and just, instead of saying a sound wave, let's say a ghost or a haunting. So when you have a ghost or a haunting, you have a pattern of disturbances caused by the movement of energy traveling through a middle ground. It circulates and spreads from the source that causes, let's say, a shaking, such as a person or an object. So I find that very interesting, that sound waves, if you just replace it, it's the same thing as what you get when you have a haunting.
Well, look at our scripture. Ephesians 2:2 says that the course of this world is ruled by Satan, who is the prince of the power of the air.
Dun, dun, dun. See what
Who's
I'm saying?
That I see walking in them woods?
What?
Dun, dun,
What is that?
dun. What? It's a little saint. I don't know.
I don't know that song.
I do. Okay. And so do our listeners, because they're up on this stuff.
Yeah, they'll know. I don't know. I don't know all that stuff.
Anyway, so demons are spirits. Often they come in the form that we will accept them, like toys. They can toy with us, or they can come in forms that we'll accept. Or you notice that a demon doesn't just show up with the Bible, and I really have to look that scripture up. Maybe somebody will send it to me. But it says that in the end days that there will come a time when the demonic world will begin to actually show themselves periodically to individuals in their true form, and the fear of them, the sight of the fear of them, will actually cause them to die.
But I believe that's happening now, too. I'll tell you why, because...
I've seen my neighbor with his shirt off. Trust me, you're right.
That's wonderful. I hope he's not listening. Hi.
Hey, babe, so you think you can tuck those things in? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Scott, that's horrible. Anyways, I believe that people...
Change them underwear pretty soon, brother, because they've been hanging out pretty bad.
That's so horrible. That's scary.
Where do you get that color brown anyway, babes?
Oh, drink your coffee. Mm-hmm. So people are if you go to websites, album covers and stuff like that, and there's like, let's say, like demonic stuff, they're coming up with these imaginations. I don't believe are imaginations. There's no way that people could come up with such horrible things. I personally have seen demonic spirits. I've seen them, and in their true form, in a way, and I'm sure they come in different forms too. I mean, the different scary forms. So I believe that's already starting to happen. Maybe not as physical right now, but I think at least visually or...
Well, there's those people that, and I know some of the listeners out there are sensitive, are able to see, hear, and understand things that not all of us do.
Right.
So for some of us out there who say, well, I don't believe in this, I don't believe this, and believe that, well, because you haven't seen it or heard it doesn't make it not real. I haven't seen Mars yet either, but I hear it's out there.
And, they'll show you a picture, but how do we know it's real? Like, do we really land on the moon?
Maybe we're just in a big bubble.
You never know.
Yeah.
So, like, when we show people, like, proof that God exists or proof that there's a ghost, and I'm not talking these stupid little orb pictures with dust and, oh, look at it's my Aunt June. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about,
Maybe it is. Maybe she was a dusty gal.
God. There is evidence out there, but people are always going to try and find a way. Unbelievers.
And some of it is,
hokey,
and it's not real. Yeah. And there's plenty of it that's, many times things can be debunked and people can get themselves excited about something. But when you've really faced something, you've really dealt with something in your home or whatever, you'll know when it's real.
Yeah.
It's going to freak you out, and you're not going to forget it. It's not the type of thing like, oh, the door slammed. Well, okay, maybe the window was open and it caused the door to slam.
Right, yeah.
But when the door opens and closes and the things are levitating, all the time it happens to me, but things just pick up and rise right up onto the floor. Yep.
We've had cases like that, though, where people, they give us this list of all the stuff that's going on, and to anybody's eye, they'd be like, whoa, maybe they do have something. And then you go and you check, they're saying the lights are flickering stuff. Well, they got an electrical problem. We found that. We found where people are like, this door is always slamming and blah, 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 at a certain time. And at night, but it doesn't do it in the day, and the door would be by the vent, and so the air would be coming when either the air would kick in or the heat would kick in.
There's been times we've explained plenty of things in the natural. It's like, well, of course that can happen. I mean,
yeah,
But
with that said, I know that we all want answers, but we sure as heck better be careful how we go about it. We've established that what we want from spiritual beings. So what do we think that they want from us?
Pizza!
No. Yeah, well, they might miss. What are they trying to communicate with us? Like they say my grandma is trying to tell me she's okay. And I understand when people lose somebody.
I mean, how okay can you be when you're dead?
Yeah. You can be pretty okay, I think. I
mean,
think you can. I think when we move on, we're fine.
Don't worry about Aunt Martha. She's dead. You don't need to worry about her anymore.
And I understand people try to cope with
it's
people that they lose.
Yeah.
But, and then, what do they think that, like my aunt's coming back to haunt me, or is my aunt coming back because she's stuck? I mean, they come up with all these scenarios in their head, or they'll say it's the spirit of a little girl and she's stuck here, or, it's a tormented spirit of someone who is bad and they can't cross over. And I don't know where people get this stuff other than, concepts and ideas from TV. And there's story after story of hauntings, but that's usually because we invite them in somehow. I mean, you got family 1. They move into the house on Maple Street. Nothing. Family 2 moves into the same house maybe a couple years later. Paranormal activity like crazy. So that family moves out. Family 3 comes in. Nothing. Right?
Reminds me of the Amityville story. And we've all seen the movies and stuff like that, Amityville Horror. Lots of things happened to that family. But the family that moved in after them, nothing happened.
Right.
And that house still exists. It has been moved, if I remember right?
Well, the house is there, but they redid the whole thing.
Yeah,
it looks
they haven't
really
had no issues at all.
Right. And there was a family before them. I don't know, and I can't remember the story exactly. I can't believe it. But movies they've chopped it up so much too. But there was an incident where the family before them, the guy had killed the people in his family. And I can't remember if he lived there right before them or whatever. But so, the spirits that probably, and he was talking about demonic spirits talking to him and telling him to kill these people. So I truly believe that this guy was maybe possessed and they told him to do this and he did it. He gave in. And so those same spirits lingered within that house. And when these other people moved in for whatever reason, whether they were sensitive or maybe they had called in things through the week, I don't know.
Now, they had some, do you remember about how young the children were that lived there?
No, you know why? Because the true stories are always different from the movies, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But I think they were young.
Because I know anytime children are in the house, especially to get in that tween or preteen, teenage years, they're very,
susceptible.
I guess, spiritually susceptible. That's a big word.
It's like relativity.
Susceptible.
Yeah, but you're right. They're like magnets.
They're little magnets, and they can often attract things without even intending to.
So there's different categories. Well, there's hauntings and there's demonic infestation. Now, when you have things of hauntings, they also can be demonic, but there are specifics for demonic versus it being, a spiritual. And like I said, we don't have all the answers. We're just sort of going off our experience and studies and research. But so you want to do hauntings?
Yeah, hauntings, some of the things that are common with them is batteries being drained and electrical disturbances, objects missing, seeing shadows, apparitions, huge drops in temperature happening fast, noises, banging, scratching, thumping, things moving on their own, doors, blinds, objects, feeling of someone watching you or even being touched, tired, fatigued.
But when you've got demonic, you can have all of that, but now if you have a spirit, you're not going to always have these things. So these things are definitely demonic manifestations. Things happening in threes, which we've talked about. 3 scratches, 3 knocks, 3 a.m. wake-ups. I mean, there's always threes in that. A physical manifestation where you get hurt, or often...
Or, even scratched yourself,
Scratch yourself?
No, if you get scratched,
that
would be getting hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to have your neck twisted off.
Right. I was like scratching yourself. I got confused. I'm like, look at, ooh, demons! I didn't know what you were talking about.
Keep reading.
All right.
You're okay.
All right. Not really.
Breath.
But a lot of our cases where they'd wake up with pressure on their chest or having a hard time.
Common.
Yep.
That's extremely common. I bet you 50% of our cases,
the demonic
people
ones.
would have instances of when they're sleeping, feeling the heavy pressure on their chest. In some cases, not even being able to sit themselves up. They felt that much pressure.
Right. And then
hard to breathe.
The night terrors, the sleep paralysis, those things. Yep. Really common with demonic would be scratching on walls. When you hear a lot of scratching, for some reason...
It's common if you have mice, too.
No. Yeah, it is. But I'm just saying, if you have these other things, too.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Odd smells, like a smell of something burning, like sulfurs is real common with demonic, and like a foul smell. Like some people say, it smells like someone who's dead. I don't know what that smells like, but that I guess, well, actually I do, because one time we were stuck in a 90-degree day with no air conditioning in the car, and we were waiting somewhere, and we were right next to a funeral home, and they were just cooking up a storm. I don't know what they were doing over there. It was horrible. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to die. So
great story, Heidi.
Okay, also demonic, depressed, feeling a sense of depression. And I'm not talking, the normal stuff. I'm talking in conjunction with all the haunting stuff. You've got this feeling angry or violent, these disturbing thoughts, feeling sick. So those things are real common with demonic.
I hear voices.
Yeah, voices too. Voices. We've had people ask if spirits can attach themselves to objects. Scott, that's creepy.
It's voices.
Okay.
I'm just trying to keep it real, man.
So can spirits attach themselves to objects? Now, the word attach, if you look it up, there's different parts, but attribute and assign. So can spirits attribute themselves to an object or assign themselves to an object? Most definitely.
They often use that object as a beginning point. This is the way that they have something to use. It's like all the manifestations of, especially when it comes to the Ouija board use and stuff like that, it always seems to start out real subtle, and then it builds on something. Well, sometimes people move into a house or a building or buy an object, and they say, oh, this object's haunted. Well, the object itself can't be haunted. It's just an object. But that object can be used as an attention getter.
Right.
Get your attention. And suddenly, you're giving this object some attention, and now it's manifested itself into scratching walls. And now the object and the scratching walls, now there's voices. Now there's those three things going on. Yeah. Next thing you know, your head's spinning around, you're levitating off the ground. Cats and dogs living together. This is what we're dealing with. Oh, man. In one of our cases, we had one of our people that worked with us.
Well, I don't want to say her name, but she gave us something.
Oh, yeah. A
case.
She gave us a special little case.
To hold, our oil and our Bible and stuff like that.
And, our holy water, if there is such a thing. Water cannot be holy. Only people can be holy.
Yeah, you're going to reiterate that every single time.
I know. Doesn't make sense. Holy water!
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I just love holy water. Yeah.
Well, she buys this case for us, and then she paints it, and she adds these. She added a cross.
We still have it.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We do have it.
I thought we got rid of it.
We don't.
Well, tell the story about it.
Anyways, shortly after we had it, I myself didn't have any problems, but my other half, Heidi, suddenly had a lot of spiritual issues going on, not wanting to go to church, being angry.
Oh, I was angry. I knew I was angry, but it wasn't like I knew it wasn't me, but I couldn't not feel angry. Right. I don't know how to explain it.
And people who are sensitive to any of these things will understand how... I don't even understand because I don't have that type of sensitivity. I'm like a rock, I just sit there.
Now, here's the thing, though. We didn't have a problem with it before we started going to church. When we started going to church, it was like light was coming into an area where darkness had already been because I had practiced the occult. I was the Ouija board queen, and I was reading tarot cards for a living. So I was doing a lot of stuff, bringing in a lot of negativity. So when I'm bringing good stuff in, now all of a sudden there's a problem.
Right. And so she didn't want to go to church. She didn't want to go. And so when I went to church, I talked to some friends of mine, and I kind of told them what was going on. And one of the ladies came over after church, and when she walked in the house...
But wait, before that...
Why? Why can't... Why?
Because I have to tell my side. I'm not changing.
Then you tell the stinking story.
No, I just got to tell you my view. So you tell me she's coming over, because you said, she's concerned about you being sick, and I knew that wasn't... It was like I knew that wasn't true. I knew she was coming over to pray with me.
Well, that's right. And then when she came in the house, you were, get out.
I was so mad. I said, you call her right now and tell her not to come over. I was so angry. I had this anger. I seriously had these urges to spit on her. I wanted to cuss. I was livid. I was ready to leave the house, but I think you wouldn't let me. So, okay, now you can continue.
Whatever. Anyway, so she comes in, and she ain't there but a couple minutes, and she realizes... She says, there's something in this house. Is there something you obtained? Is there something you've gotten? Is there a gift? Was there something you bought? What? And it took us, about 15, 20 minutes to kind of narrow something down because it had to be something that was very recent because the problem was very recent.
Right.
And
she even said something in this room, I think, because it was over on the side.
And she